Coming down the ladder now. Okay, I just checked getting back up to that first step. Roger, we copy. Pretty good little jump. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for
TC and Jake. So, Jake, I think you know where we're starting. I think everyone knows where we're starting.
The shirt?
What'd you do this time, bud?
Oh, we're talking about Twitter?
Yeah.
Became a little too overly sensitive and self-aware about my own mental health.
Okay.
Like a lame-o.
This wasn't a demotion.
No, and it didn't involve an astronaut, and it didn't involve Randy Rogers, and it didn't involve Steph Curry, and it didn't involve... I guess what was the last one I got hit for was tweeting the Anton Hudobin video and saying, like, Trump on November 4th.
Yeah.
And Twitter was like, this is false election information.
That was fucked up.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, he's still in there now, dude.
I know, right? I threw the whole thing asunder with my Anton Hudobin clip. But no, it's not from Jack.
Someone said delete your account, and you were like, you know what? They're right.
They're right, yeah. It's not from Jack. It's from not Jack.
Yeah, no, I mean, nothing else will get me a bunch of questions I don't really care about than that. I'm sure everyone who knows you has just been pelted with an endless string of, where'd he go? So there it is, folks. I don't know. I support you, so I don't want to mock you doing that.
No, but I mean, when you do it, like, you're going to be mocked. Like, it's not one of those sort of things that, I mean, that's actually part of the calculation, right?
But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. I don't want to live in that world, so I will not make that world, I will not be responsible for creating that world. I think you're making a great choice, and I don't need to say anything about your vagina at all.
No, I mean, you can at least get up to the level of comments about my vagina I was expecting, which was about a 5 out of 10, at least, on the hitting the gas. But I mean, I know how you think about this. So, like, I don't view you as a sympathetic party in, like, hearing what I think about it. And I also, I want to make sure that I don't make this, like, into Twitter is so toxic and everyone is so mean, and shouldn't they... I wish people would police the speech a little more because people are mean to me. And even me was like, yeah, people are sending me pictures of my house and, being, things that could easily be construed as threats if you were to take them seriously. It's really not that. It's 100% on me. And just like, I think I just like it too much. Like, I like it so much that, or whatever it is, like, the programming and the hardwiring of my brain has been completely, like, hacked to where, dude, I don't know about you, but, like, I could just be doing, like, normal, good family stuff, like doing stuff with Nora, and it goes about 4 minutes before I'm like, this is great, but I wonder if anybody has said anything funny.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I need to check and see what the latest dunking in politics is.
Flicking down over and over whenever there's nothing, like, maybe there'll be 2 tweets. Like, you need to flick down over and over for 2 tweets.
I'll settle for 1.
Like, I don't know. I know as I'm doing it that it's not an enjoyable use of my time, and it's not changing my behavior at all. So, no, I don't like that. But yeah, whatever. I was hoping it'd be a better story than that, dude.
Yeah,
I was hoping that Randy
pretty...
Rogers would be in there somewhere.
Right, or an astronaut, or Anton Hudobin. No, yeah. It's not. It's just, and dude, it's to the point now, like, does Izzy know the word phone?
No.
Well, Nora does, and we very quickly, like, tried to create a deal where if a phone was sitting there and she went to go grab it, we'd kind of be like, no, no, that's not. And now, so she'll, even if she sees a phone, not in hand or whatever on person, she'll walk over and almost like pick it up and go, no. Like she knows that that's not something she's supposed to have. So a couple different times where I'm just like, oh, that's cool. Like the thing that I created out of my balls is developing a brain. And that's probably the most amazing thing I'll ever see. But I really need to see like if anybody has any jokes about Kirk Cousins. And the baby will come over and be like, no phone. And I was like,
yeah, you know,
damn,
it's good advice.
That
I don't buy it, dude.
That one landed, kid.
This smells exactly like my daughter walked up to me and asked why Trump has to be this way.
Well, so the thing, my kid walked up and asked, are we going to have to quarter soldiers if the Third Amendment gets overturned? It's not that she doesn't want me on the phone. It's that we've connected the word no to phone.
Yeah.
So like anytime she sees a phone, even if you're just on it for normal stuff like that you have to do, she'll come over and be like, no phone, phone no. And regardless of her intents, it happened a couple times when I was like, oh yeah. I mean, dude, she can feel it in your pocket. And when she feels it in your pocket, she says no phone. It doesn't matter if you're on it really or not. When she sees a phone, she says no phone. But if you're doing it while you're like, man, I wonder if anybody has said anything funny about John Ossoff this morning. You're like, that doesn't feel good, brother. That feels like I'm kind of
knows
addicted.
to pick it up and say hello, which is just
we
cute.
did have
I have
a
no
period of
problem
time
with
with hello.
Yeah.
And I've told you before, like I've tried deleting it. That shit don't work. I'm back on the corner, like scratching, like, anybody got any of that phone? Like 3-4 hours later at most. So it doesn't. I'll probably go like a week.
I know I've told you about it, but that I can't remember what it's called. Self-Control is the name of the app. It's an app where you can just type in websites and then set a timer, and it won't let you visit those websites. And I've never done it where like I just did it on my own, you know, like every time. All like 5 minutes after I set it up, be like twitter.com, and then think, oh yeah, I set up the thing 5 minutes ago.
And I would immediately disable that.
Well, see, the thing
Like,
is,
it
won't let you. That's the whole point. You can't, like, once it's done, it's done. Like, for the amount of time you set, you can't do it.
Okay.
It's a useful
That's an
app.
option. I did not know that. I feel like I would still find a way to private window it or something, but...
I guess you could... I think I did try that and it didn't work, but I could be wrong.
But the fact that you did...
I mean, I think it was just whenever I first got it. That's why I'm not sure, because I've had it for a couple years, and I think whenever I first got it, I was like testing the fence, just to be interested in whether or not this was a useful app. And it is, because, you know, I think honestly, it's a bad idea that they gave us one machine to do work, to do research, to masturbate, to find out what our friend's doing. Like, I would like discrete machines.
Maybe take a picture of your kid?
Yeah, for each of those things. I just mean like computers. But yeah, all of it, yeah. That's one way of like doing your best to address that reality, but it's just kind of a bad design in general. I mean, whatever. I guess there's trade-offs, you know. It's nice having your camera in your pocket at all times. It would kind of suck if everyone had to carry around a second camera. I remember whenever we used to do that, I didn't really like it. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, look.
I do carry around a second camera, though, because I'm a creative.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, second, or just you stop at 2 these days?
Well, just in
Last time you were over here, we had a
phone.
6-camera setup, so...
I've got a number of cameras.
Yeah. You're finding your wilderness.
That's right. That's right.
I feel like is what it comes down to.
It will not consume me. I'll conquer it, Jake. So if you are not on Twitter, that means that you did not see that Saturday was the 100th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, and I wanted to give you 5 minutes on that, if you don't mind. Not the U2 song. There's actually several incidents that are called Bloody Sunday. U2 wrote a song about one of them. That one happened in the 70s? 72, I think. Could be wrong. So, have I talked about this before?
Definitely.
Okay, all right. Well, then I'll make it quick. Just in the Irish War for Independence, the ongoing struggle for it. The British, many people don't realize sometimes, but I'm sure all of our listeners do, used to control Ireland, control them pretty heavily. And so they had intelligence folks, they had spies, trying to talk, figure out who among you wants to be free, how serious about you are it, what do you intend to do about that, and where are you going to be so we can kill you. And there was a woman who was like the nanny or butler, maid for like a high-ranking British officer who secretly had Irish sympathies. And so she collected a list of all of the spies in Ireland operating in Dublin, passed it on to the heads of the people trying to get the struggle, Eamon de Valera, Michael Collins. Michael Collins rounded up a group, and I believe it was 16, intelligence officials. And with all this stuff, there's always a dispute where the British are like, they're just killing innocent people. And the Irish are like, no, we're 100% sure they're spies. Who's right? You know what I think. But, there's not like slam dunk evidence on either side. There is on some of them. There isn't on others. Did they kill some innocent people of the 16? History will never know. But they killed 16 people. Like it was all, it was quick. Like it was coordinated raids in the morning. They were all happening, bang, 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 all at once. And the British got a tip that the people who had carried it out had gone to a soccer game at Croke Park, the big stadium in Dublin, largest stadium in Ireland. And they head down to the soccer game. I think that they were going to like check the crowd for weapons as they were coming in, something like that. But what just ends up happening is that they roll up in a armored troop carrier. So, this is obviously it's 1920. It's the 100th year anniversary. I don't know why I was about to get that wrong. So we're not talking about like an M1 Abrams tank or anything. But it's a steel-plated vehicle that has a firing position on it. You got a mounted gun, and so they roll up into this soccer game, trying to do a little crowd control. Whenever you roll up to a ton of people and kind of create a standoff like this with tens of thousands of folks, it can kind of get out of control on you. I would suggest not doing it. But it's one of those classic things. Like, when's the last time you saw The Rock, Jake?
A couple years, but fairly recently.
So whenever the Marines come up out of the shower, and Ed Harris's men got their guns down on him, and they're in that standoff, I think that the honest historical account, like the most accurate, our best guess of what happened, and there was a lot of people there, so you can piece this together well enough, is that it was like that, where you got your guns pointed at them, they're agitated, something goes off, who the fuck knows what, and all of a sudden there's firing. So the upshot is that you had British soldiers firing into an open crowd of Irish spectators of a soccer game. The first person killed was an 11-year-old boy who was trying to watch the game from a tree. He had climbed a tree so that he'd be able to see inside to the stadium.
By the way, you also don't necessarily know that he was the first. That's just the one that prints the best.
Yeah, sixth. Fair enough.
Could have been seventh, but
whatever, dude. They killed a fucking 11-year-old. The state, and I think that it was I don't remember the exact number of dead. Many were wounded. So just always something to think about. If you wonder why I have such strong opinions about Britain, it's because they're the kind of folks that fire guns into the crowds at soccer matches. There's a street near me that's called Cromwell. And Oliver Cromwell is, I think it's like a full third of the Irish population was dead by the time he was done waging war on them. And I mean, like, grisly stuff, like fucking killing entire villages, like just total disregard for human life, viewed the enemy as animals, treated them as such. And I every time I drive by it, I'm like, so where's Hitler Avenue, Like, he's got a complicated legacy, but like that's not the kind of, like if you kill a third of the population of any given population of any size, then like we don't really talk about the other stuff you did. Like no one's like, well, he did have the Autobahn. I mean, not no one. Marge did, but
I didn't expect Marge Shot to come up today, but
I think Dallas should change the name of Cromwell.
My first thought would just be, I don't know how common that surname is, or either one of them really. Like maybe there were so many Cromwells that it was basically like a street called Jackson, or even it's Martinez or Smith, as opposed to, I don't really know how common the surname Hitler was.
Yeah,
like maybe there were a lot of Cromwells, and so from White, it was White Settlement, right? That Rangers game.
I think so.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if there were a bunch of people with the last name Hitler. I don't know. And I assume that the Cromwell, that just sounds so English that I would think that maybe there were a number of people that had that same last name, and maybe it's not about the murderous dictator when it comes to Cromwell. I don't know. I'm searching for reasons why a city that just thought it was a good idea to pay JJ Barea on Cameo to tell people to stay home for Thanksgiving has made a good decision here. When it seems like that's something you probably could have got anyone to do for free from the Mavs, but they opted for $100 on Cameo, which whatever, it's $100, but still it seemed weird.
It does seem weird.
I'm
pretty sure it's Cromwell because like, my view of him as like a murderous, like a war criminal is not the universal view. And I mean, like I said, I think that's wrong. I think it's fucking insane that people are like, well, he did do a lot to kind of shift power from the monarchy to the parliament. Like, yeah, he did. And you know what else he did? He killed a third of the fucking population. But yeah, British people like make no fucking apologies. Like they absolutely will to this day name all kinds of things after him because to them he is a hero because they only focus on that stuff. But like, I don't know, I don't get to page 2 whenever that's on page 1. That's
and when you wear a T-shirt that says Irish on it in some form or fashion every single day of your life.
That's true. Although this one is Seahawks.
Oh,
Seahawks.
Damn. Surprise of the century.
Riding for the Native Americans this time.
I didn't realize that the Four Seasons shirt was going to have Gritty on the riding lawnmower.
So great.
That's a nice
It's a great shirt. Yeah, no, Four Seasons.
And of course it just says,
escaping.
Not the Four Seasons Hotel.
I can't wait to forget about that so I can remember it all over again. Like I did today with Elon Musk calling the cave diver a pedo. I just love when I forget things.
Well, that's a good thing, not just because of, lifestyle decisions, but I think it's just ever more possible now.
To forget things?
It's just too much. There's just too much to remember things from even a few weeks ago where you're like,
once every 2 days, the most insane thing that's ever happened happens.
So I was laughing about something the other night, and walk very carefully with me here. There's a certain insurance company that has a spokesperson with a name that one of us has, right? And they've had it for a really long time.
Yeah.
And for a couple years, every single time, and again, I should reiterate that this is like the most common Caucasian male name for like a 10-year period.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was Jacob or Jake was the top name that you would hear.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant, all right.
Not TC or Thomas.
All right.
So for a long time, whenever I would call people and tell them my name, like customer service, whatever, they would be like, "Oh, from blank," You're like, no, and I've never heard that. So if you notice now when you watch football games, that company has changed out their spokesperson, and he is now a spokesperson of a different race, and he looks very jacked, and he's, the other guy was white. This guy is not.
Mm-hmm.
But they kept the same name.
They did.
Which I I can only ascertain that they just assumed that they would like to have more diversity in their commercials, in their campaigns, but thought we're just too tied into the name that we had used for our previous spokesperson when it comes to brand recognition and identification. We simply have to keep it.
The people love it too much.
They love it too much. They're not necessarily tied to the ethnicity of the spokesperson. They are tied to the name of the spokesperson, which, sure, perhaps. But then we got to laughing about what if in other cases where this has possibly been proposed, like what if when Jared from Subway went to jail, Jared's
just an Asian Jared.
They just have another spokesperson.
Hi, I'm Jared.
And you may notice I look a little different. And I'm also
they don't even acknowledge it, really.
The main thing is I'm not a pedophile. It just so happens that we needed to find another Jared, and that person is me. I am Jared. I swear to God, that's my name. Yes, there are Jareds of different races. The main thing is I'm not a pedophile.
Mm-hmm.
And they just kept the name. Like
never even wanted. It's not that I'm fighting the urges, it's that I don't experience them.
Right. No, I didn't get beat up in jail, any of that. We just
in fact, in my free time, I track down other pedophiles and I bring them to justice.
I used to work for Perverted Justice with damn, what was the one's name? What was that girl's name? That would have made the joke land a lot harder.
I'm not sure I remember what you're talking about.
So when Chris was at the height of his powers, with To Catch a Predator, they had this group called Perverted Justice that they would use for all their arguably entrapment operations, but nobody was going to be like, I don't know if you're treating these pederasts correctly.
Yeah. That's a problem in general, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But they had one female who was like the lead. Like she was very good at pretending to be a young male or female.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And her name was like, it was something that
like she could nail the voice.
Yeah. I can't remember her name, but I could probably find it, but who really cares, right? It only would have been funny the minute that I had that thought, but
yeah.
But whatever.
So we had and I introduced the last topic. You wanna jump in here before I start? I got a bunch of stuff to say, but I don't want to crowd you out.
No, go ahead.
We've got two stories that I feel are directly up our alley, and one of them we got requests on, and the other one I'm surprised we haven't gotten requests on. Maybe you have, because it just seems classic IJB. We'll start with the requested one. That comes from Tell Stevens. Says this feels like old school IJB wheelhouse, and it's a letter from a professor. His name is Professor Brennan, and he works at Ferris University. And
they're rivals. Ferris State.
Oh, Ferris State. Where is Ferris State? Do you know? Am I putting you on the spot?
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay, there we go. That works better for me. And he's responding to an article that ran in the Ferris State student newspaper.
Never good.
In normal times, I would probably like to bring you the full picture by reading this article first, but I kind of like this better as just an entirely unaccompanied little bit of, my enemies was saying, but however.
No, it is. I was going to say that actually before you said it because of a line on the second page. It is a formal version of a drill tweet. In every single way, it is a 600-word, formally written from the office of version of a drill tweet.
So I kind of want to read this entire thing. I won't, but I want to. So it's the article by the student's newspaper surfaced a Twitter account that he had. I believe it was a private locked account, but he said a lot of wild things. And I feel like this is an important bit of information. He's a physics teacher. So I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not going to go to my death defending his right to think these crazy things, but he probably does know a lot about physics, right? It's different than if it's like your politics teacher, right?
Yeah, I think the position flex among ivory tower folk, if you were to rank it, physics would be probably number one. Like, it's basically Cordell Stewart. Because if it is someone from the school of liberal arts, like, that's a third down back. Like, you have one trick. I know what it is. You don't know really anything about anything outside of what you know. It's just way more likely that a guy from the Department of Physics knows things about not only science, but also the world than it is the other way around.
You think so? I kind of thought that they're laser focused on nerd math shit, and that's how he has such a blind spot for these other things.
So I think it's common. Well, the math thing is important because even just having a solid understanding of math, I think allows you to understand a lot of different parts of the world. And I can tell you from experience that the liberal arts school, I remember the day, there were many days where I thought, boy, this is why newspapers are failing. But in grad school, in our quantitative research class, day one, when everyone in there was like, I hate math. And I was like, you're fucked. This whole thing is fucked because you people will go on to run businesses with bottom lines. I just think if you have a solid math understanding, it helps you to be able to process things outside in pretty much any field better than if your understanding is more qualitative, if that makes sense. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, that does make sense to me. I would agree with it. Anyway, so well, I will read this paragraph. This controversy started after I made a few statements in a College of Arts and Sciences meeting of faculty and staff about the COVID-19 pandemic. My statements were to the effect that, and now he starts with bold, really just taking out all the bold sentences is pretty great. Like, just the things that hop out of like, no, I do not think that middle-class Jews are the problem of the world.
Yeah, and he made sure that's what he bolded. Yeah, you can kind of read a little more in his tone from his Control B.
Yeah, no, he has some statements that here's just a selection of the bolded things. Atom bombs are fake. The moon landings are fake. I uttered the word to try to neutralize its power. Yeah. Anyways,
I get why you felt you needed to bold that one, but we'll get to that.
My statements were to the effect that, bold, I believe the COVID-19 pandemic is a stunt designed to enslave humanity and strip us of all our rights and freedoms. All right.
Okay.
I don't believe the pandemic is a hoax. People have died. But its severity is being exaggerated by revolutionary leftists in the media and government who never let a good crisis go to waste, which I think that you said that phrase within the last month on this podcast.
I don't think that I did.
It might have been Philip. I talked to both of you.
And I think the interesting thing about that one is that he quoted it, but he single quoted it. So it's kind of like look, I'm going to attribute this because I'm sure someone has actually said it, but I don't really know who. Like, I don't know. I don't have a person per se who said this. But
yeah, no, that's definitely what he's doing. It's Rahm Emanuel definitely said that.
Okay, I mean, I've heard the comment before,
but
in this
but I'm
context,
just saying, you're 100% right about how he's using it, but I do think it's delicious that one of the more evil actors in American politics absolutely was like, hell yeah, dude. And I don't know, I think he's got a little bit of a point, but anyways. The end result of this hysteria, if unchecked, will be a mandatory vaccine. No one will be allowed in public places or permitted to buy food in a supermarket unless they present proof of vaccination. So he's getting quite quickly to, they're going to starve you if you don't have your vaccination. Initially, This electronic certificate will be tied to a person's smartphone. That, okay, like if we do I think it would be a good idea to give us vaccines. I think it would be a good idea to keep a record of who is vaccinated, who is not, so that we can, because, like the situation you're dealing with where right now you are immune, and I think you should be able to go places without a mask and it be no big deal. But some kind of nice like wristband or something, I think would be a good system. And
also,
if you do it on the
stop
smartphone,
listening when you use smartphone.
Smartphone, that's fine.
Smartphone.
But he doesn't stop there. He says, but will soon be in the form of injectable micro or nanotechnology in the vaccine itself. If this guy, so all right, it's just he goes to so many levels. Like every time you're like, oh my God, he's so crazy for saying this, and then like 2 seconds later you're like, actually, in retrospect, based on this new thing he said, the previous statement was not that shocking. By comparison. So he's saying they're not going to let you get food unless you've got the vaccine. Wild. They're going to track whether or not you had the vaccine by nanotechnology. Jesus, he's going off the rails. If this comes about, it will truly be a fulfillment to the prophecy of the mark of the beast, as described by St. John the Apostle.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't been able to make people wear masks to buy food. Mm-hmm. Like at anything approaching like full coverage. So no. I don't know if I totally agree with his. We're about to have the fulfillment of the prophecy or of the mark of the beast.
I don't recall anything about nanotechnology specifically in Revelations. I will grant you that it's vaguely worded, but I've never really.
A lot of snakes.
A lot of snakes. He's got a little bit about how, like, yes, I do have a Twitter account. It's just so I can say crazy things. I use the account.
I really felt that. Yeah, I have a Twitter account that I use as a quote, and again on this one, single quotes, which is again an interesting rhetorical.
Yeah.
I have a Twitter account that I use as a quote, hole to shout in.
I hear that. Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
Brother.
I will die for your right to do that. And he says, I use the account to test the boundaries of language and ideas.
Oh, Marshall Henderson has entered the chat.
That's exactly what it is.
Yet again.
I keep it locked in private. It's been my way of poking the dragon. I knew eventually this would happen. I knew this day would come, Mushmouth.
Yep.
And it's fine that it's happening now as our society is reaching a crescendo of madness because they won't let me say the N-word online.
I'll be your victim.
Hey, yeah,
the martyr
Jesus
has
was ready
arrived.
too. Yeah. Let me address a few of those tweets, starting with the one where I use the N-word. I believe the N-word is a mind control spell designed to make us hate each other. See, again, we got like, let me talk about the tweet where I use the N-word. And you're like, whoa, this guy can't top it. And he's like, the N-word is a mind control spell. Holy shit, he topped it. Yep. I uttered the word to try to neutralize its power, and its implied meaning in the context of the tweet was a synonym for human being or person, since I used it to describe people of all races.
You cowards have not been neutralizing it. And I waited.
Yeah.
I waited. And
you thought I just
more.
meant black people, but I meant everyone.
Jeez.
So I'm allowed. He does have an interesting note that he deleted it an hour after he made it in June 2019. So someone screenshotted it and it's been sitting around waiting to fire this off for a little while. Which, respect, I guess. Ironically, my casual use of the N-word in that tweet isn't the most controversial thing about it. It's that I'm calling
the strategy. Love the strategy of the diversionary tactic here.
It's not even that big deal I use the N-word. What you need to focus on is the ideas. There is real science, but there is also fake science. Fake science is an instrument of oppression. I believe... Now... He's going to go through the murderer's row of the puppet masters of our society, just, trying to just cause, just spreading bad, clearly harmful ideas out there. I believe that Bill Nye, Buzz Aldrin, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Anthony Fauci are human beings of worth, as we all are. I agree with them there. But I believe they are telling some lies and are part of a system of lies. Jake? You have a long-standing nemesis relationship with one of the men mentioned. Do you care to comment?
Just utter confusion. I don't recall ever hearing Buzz weigh in on anything other than just the basic, we landed on the moon stuff. which I don't view as part of a. I mean, I guess you could. That's what he means. He views Buzz Aldrin propagating the myth that we landed on the moon as part of a system of lies, which puts him right on par with Anthony Fauci. But I would have gone with like the president or the vice, Biden or anybody who I just don't know that many people outside of Twitter are getting their info from Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I would have left the science guy alone, personally. I don't think he's become a lightning rod for sure. You have no quarrel with the science guy, is what I would say. So yeah, he's got a whole thing about how atom bombs are fake. How they faked them is like whenever they're showing you the test footage. That's actually a level of the government makes all special effects, and they let Hollywood use the shitty ones so that you think that that's the most special effects we have. But in fact, things can be done on film to manipulate it that you haven't even considered yet. Whenever he gives an example of it, he's like, they use the high frame rate to then produce a slow motion picture, which is someone who's been getting into video knows. That's like pretty fucking standard. Like anytime you see slow motion, it's a high frame rate. It's not that big a deal.
That would be pretty tight though to be the CIA Bruckheimer.
Yeah.
Like if there's a guy who's Michael Bay, who's Bruckheimer, but he's another level above and he has a gun, like that may be the best job in the world.
Yeah, and in that, to reference the When to Change podcast for the second time this month, they talked to a woman who made like masks for the CIA, and she still couldn't talk about how they did it. Because it was like they were having a debate about whether or not the mask was good enough to use. So like one of the people like met with Reagan wearing the mask, and like he fell for it, and that's at the end of the meeting they like fucking popped it off for like good enough to use yet now, bitch.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, and so they do like not want to tell you about how much they can use masks, because then, the people they're using them on will know, watch out, it could be a mask. But, we've all seen Mrs. Doubtfire, so I think the bird is out of the cage on that one. He's got the same thing with the moon landing. Doesn't even really try very hard there. Now I have to address the tweets I made about Jews.
That just should not. That full sentence should not ever be. If you're typing that out, you've got a problem.
Just inevitable that it would be included at some point, though. Am I right?
Absolutely. It was one of the last spots on the bingo card.
The Holocaust was perpetrated against the Jews in order to hijack their nation and take them hostage. I don't know exactly how Israel fits in. I think that's what he means by nation, because he does go out of the way to say, like, how could I hate Jews? I love Israel, which, one of the paradoxes of our time. So anyways, Hitler was an evil monster. He rose to power because he had financial support from the global elites, the United States, Great Britain, and other countries. King Edward was infamous for his early support of Hitler, and that's why he abdicated. I think that one's a little shaky. There was other reasons he abdicated. If
I don't know
one
anything
of them,
about that.
he was too horny. He abdicated because he was too horny. Which one seems more likely to you? Some weird bank shot Hitler thing, or the dude just wanted to fuck?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't even. When you start talking royal family, I don't remember any of who is who. Like, you could tell me a story, and I'd be like, and your question is, was this from the 20th century or the 14th century? And like, I don't really have any idea. I couldn't tell you.
Fair enough.
Was he in love with Was he in love with an American?
Yes, American divorcee.
So that's the one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a consequential moment in Irish history, for weird reasons, and it's also the subject of the movie The King's Speech, which I don't anticipate that you saw, but someone probably did. Anyways, the real thing I want to underline here: King Edward was infamous for his early support of Hitler. Henry Ford, Prescott Bush, and international corporations like Bayer and IBM were also supportive of the Nazi regime. The Prescott Bush thing was covered in the Chapo George H.W. Bush business, and I can tell you, he's not wrong there. I don't know that it was like, I think that Prescott Bush loved money a lot more than he loved Hitler. I think he was kind of agnostic on the whole, should we exterminate this entire people or shouldn't we question? But it was more like, well, someone's got to do their banking. So send those checks my way, please. And again,
I don't know anything about any of this. It just doesn't feel like something you should ever be having to type out.
I'm with you. Yeah, no. And really, it makes me a little uncomfortable whenever, like, I got to be like, actually, the crank's right here.
Yeah.
But, it's a very interesting thing. Look into it, folks. There have been a number of countries whose intelligence operations have attempted to ascertain exactly what the company Prescott Bush was associated with knew and when they knew it. And it's not good. It's not good. That's where he gets to, I do not believe that middle-class Jews are involved in an international conspiracy.
Just an insane number of qualifiers, even if there are only like 2.
Only that a small number of their elites are. Furthermore, the great majority of elites involved in the globalist conspiracy are not Jewish. It's not considered anti-Italic to talk about an Italian mafia. No one would think you believe all Italians are in the mob if you were to talk about that. So it shouldn't be considered anti-Semitic to talk about a Jewish mafia. How are you feeling so far?
Yeah, the same as about every single time he hits bold. Just not good.
Then we get to the last bold sentence of the letter. I love and respect Jews just as I do all races, and I pray for Israel just as I pray for America. Then so he just wants to tie this all back up and say the atom bomb thing was wearing off. Like they released that atom bomb footage to keep you scared. You stopped being scared enough. They couldn't control you as well, so they released this pandemic. In summary, please let me continue teaching at Ferris State University. And I do want to say, like, I don't want to draw any larger conclusions about this whatsoever. I don't know that anyone suspected that we were going to, but I just always go crazy whenever the New York Times writers think that the single biggest thing happening in America is what sophomores do at liberal arts colleges. This guy can do whatever the fuck he wants. I don't know. Ferris State should ask themselves some questions about whether or not he should be giving his ideas to children. But whatever they come up with on that is their fucking business. I don't really give a shit. I just think the entire thing's hilarious.
Well, I mean, it's also especially interesting just to imagine what everyone else in this meeting that he started off detailing is thinking. And
yeah, dude.
If I could get a video feed, that would have been.
Just imagining someone nudging their colleague, like, here he goes.
Right, did he just add middle class to that?
Watch this shit.
It's funny that you mentioned the Italian mob there. This is just a super small quick hit, but one of our buddies sent us this. It's an indictment against 15 defendants in the La Cosa Nostra Philadelphia mob. Mm-hmm. And so they have to list out all their names, but they also have to list their aliases.
Mm-hmm. Are any of them as good as Big Pussy? Because I doubt it.
What about Joseph Servideo, a.k.a. Joey Electric?
Hell yeah.
That's pretty good.
That is good.
And the rest of them are pretty. Louis Beretta, a.k.a. Louis Sheep.
I mean, his last name's Beretta.
Yeah. And then this is the one that I really enjoyed was Anthony Gaffoli, a.k.a. Tony Meatballs. That's in a government document that the DOJ has on its website right now. It's not FX.
Yeah.
I'd enjoy that.
Tony Meatballs. Hey. Yeah, that's exceptional. So we do have this other thing to cover, but would you like to play this audio?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty much just us listen to it and move on. So I started seeing this. KJ sent it to us first. Since I have the bird break. But I guess there's something called Fireside Fiction. It's just a magazine that publishes essays. Seems moderately, whether successful or known. The essay is by a woman named Regina Bradley. She is a English professor, I had her Twitter account pulled up. I don't have it anymore. But basically, she tweeted out a
because you're not on the website.
No, you can. That's actually the reason why it's like acceptable to be gone, because you can still just like go to like all weekend. I just had, if I needed whatever Shams was saying, like I just wanted to just look at that one thing though, or like Woj, just pop on there, or David Moore today whenever there was news breaking, or Jim Amendment 30, whatever. She tweeted out a video of an audio clip of someone reading her essay, and her essay is called "The Art of Speculating," but it's spelt like the art of storytelling, like the OutKast. DA art speculating, no G. It's just obviously anybody who knows that. Anybody who knows anything about OutKast, like even if you just knew their hits, you would know that like obviously this title is a play on that title. It's not very long. And she put out a clip of it and said, Fireside, here's their tweet. And the art of speculating, blah, 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 breaks down the Afro-futuristic stylings of OutKast, edited by blank, copy edited by blank, narrated by blank, also free to read at firesidefiction.com, the art of speculating. And she is a black woman who, I don't know if she was born in Georgia, but definitely grew up there. And she puts this essay out that is her take on why OutKast, to her, ties together basically every single part of Southern culture from the 90s on, be it politics, community, family, everything. She thinks that, and I think most people who are OutKast fans would agree, that you could pretty much tie it all together through their music. And I read it. It's okay. There's nothing revelatory here. I think this is stuff that most people who like OutKast would say, yeah, for sure. Even if you grew up nowhere near there and are not a person of color. So the video, they had a man read it who is a man, who is a white, and I guess never really followed up with like, well, what does she sound like? Or Googled black person from Georgia voice, or I don't know how you would go about doing this without asking a couple other questions. I think what I would do is not ask any questions and just say, hey, whoa, wait.
Pass.
I don't think I should be the guy. I don't think I should be the person reading this. I don't think it takes a ton of research. And that's what's so funny about this is you have to presume that at least 2 and probably more like 4 or 5 people were like, this is good. Do this. And this is what follows.
Fireside Magazine presents The Art of Speculating.
Okay, stop it right there. So again, this is a woman who grew up in Georgia, not Jamaica.
I guess we'll get to it in a second, but like it's just so confusing why he goes there and then like immediately abandons it.
Well, and okay, so he reads the name of the publisher in his voice, reads the name of the title in what he presumes to be the author's voice.
Which I would say is a mistake.
Clearly like a Jamaica queen. I don't even know. It is a mistake. But it does sort of give you an early indication that we're in for something here, because then he switches back to regular voice to read names and then launches into really a litany of accents, none of which sound anything close to Albany, Georgia.
Fireside Magazine presents The Art of Speculating by Regina N. Bradley, edited by Maurice Broaddus, narrated by Kevin Rainier, published in the autumn 2020 issue of Fireside Quarterly.
You're killing it, Kevin.
I'm a Southern black woman who stands in the long shadow of the civil rights movement.
Now you've gone off the rails. I want to retract that. You're no longer killing it. Like, just if
I don't even.
A number of bells be going off whenever you hear, like, I just never want to read that sentence aloud. I would like to really avoid reading that sentence in any setting, certainly a public one.
But what if you were not only reading it in a public setting, being him or us, and you were reading the words not of a fiction writer, but of the actual person whose life is detailing this right now?
Yeah, why didn't they just let her read it, dude?
Well, she went on her Twitter account and read it, and surprise, she sounds nothing like this guy.
Yeah, I would have stuck with that, but, you know.
Then hip-hop helped me navigate the contemporary Black South. When I gathered with friends, Southern hip-hop was the soundtrack.
Like, it's both
I don't know if I can do the whole 2
and
minutes.
racist.
It's the most racist thing I maybe have ever heard.
But like normally, like it's not accurate to a stereotype. You know what I mean? Like he's missing it. Like that's how a white Southern woman sounds. Like I don't know any black Southern women that talk that way. But like somehow I guess just because you can tell it's a white guy being like as a black woman. It's I don't know. Like my skin is crawling in 2 different directions. It's quite a sensation. Let's see how much you can take.
No, so here's what it is to me. It sounds to me like what caricatured versions in largely white produced pop culture of enslaved people sounded like. Like he doesn't sound like anybody who's lived. Like it sounds like he has an idea that he may have heard one time depicting something from hundreds of years ago from probably a white creator and went with that. Like
yeah.
It's the most confusing choice I think I may have ever heard in this line of work of putting out audio content. Like he sounds like this sounds like a minstrel show. Minstrel.
Father, Southern hip-hop was my comfort. And years after my initial transplanting into Albany, Georgia, it dawned on me that Southern hip-hop was the blueprint for understanding black Southernness in the post-civil rights era. Specifically, I found myself doing deeper and deeper dives into the music catalog of
It's
OutKast,
morphing a little bit.
Those 2 funketeers from Atlanta
we'll do that.
who offered innovative and dynamic musical redressing to the question of where and how the Black South positions itself in American culture. OutKast, comprised of members of Antoine Big Boy Patton and Andre 3000 Benjamin, entered hip-hop in the early 1990s.
So, as you can tell, there are light hints of, like, aristocracy. Like, there are times when
that's the Southern white woman part.
Swerves over, into a tea drinking, like
the way he said 1800s South initially is the same way he says 3000. Yeah,
right. There's a declare coming, and we because we've left Jamaica.
Yeah,
and, it's just. I don't know how much more I can go, but
we got to get to the good part, though.
Where hip-hop was fixated on the growing tension between Northeastern and Western Coast rap artists. While the Northeast and West Coasts focused on each other, Southern hip-hop artists like OutKast crept through hip-hop's back door, a stirring re-rendering to the Jim Crow narratives that paved the way for the contemporary Southern black folks. OutKast's music pushes the limits of Southernness and its proximity to black cultural experience. Rather than considering the South's relationship to the future as oxymoronic, OutKast fuses possibilities of the future together, like grits and eggs, collard greens and fatback, Martin Luther King and the mountain top. As I argue in my forthcoming book on OutKast, chronicling Stankonia, King's metaphorical mountaintop serves as the apex for racial equality and inclusion. But the mountaintop is not flat. There are new challenges and opportunities for Southern black folks to speak their truths into power and agency. Without Southern challenges and opportunities for Southern black folks to speak their truths into power and agency without.
Is that in my audio?
Yeah, I think so.
Then playalistic idyllica music. On their second album, Atlians.
There we go. That's what I wanted. That's what I was waiting for.
So he massively boofed the album. Southern playalistic Cadillac music. Southern playalistic Cadillac music. Like he went kind of into Italian. And then Atlians. And then I think he even says like organized noise instead of saying noise at the end. But What can you say? Like, that got approved by several people.
Yeah, they listened to it. They heard nothing but good things.
Yeah.
Do you think this is probably good for him, right? Like, you had no idea who he was before. Now, like, people are going to do novelty stuff with, you remember that guy?
Well, you know what? It's not really the voiceover actor's fault.
Disagree.
I mean, it may be, but like,
it's a lot of people's fault, but it's definitely his.
Okay, but I would say if I were to rank it, the guy who hired him, number one.
The editor should have selected. I mean, he should have just gotten the author to read it. Like, everyone knows how to fucking read, dude. Like, I see this guy's a voice actor or whatever because I did see his Twitter profile. And I don't know. Like, I kind of think anyone can do it. Like, especially it's not like a long article. This wouldn't be challenging. It would take a little bit of practice, but like, I mean, like you said, she did it. It sounds.
Till this deck, so until tomorrow. For everyone who's been a part of this one,
I'm TC and Jake.
We do thank you for watching. Good night.